This is Charles Barefoot.
This is Josh McMahon.
And welcome back to Feed Me Your Construction Content.
Yeah, it's good to be back, Charles. It's been a little while.
We were going to start off this episode with a discussion on really time management, but I think we proved that maybe construction's a little more complicated than that, and we dove into process.
Yeah, some lean construction talk, some BS talk, but I think that's what makes our industry fun, is that it's very fluid. You have a plan together, you know what you want to accomplish, and things don't always go as a plan. And we kept our heads up and we persevered, and I think we put out a pretty good episode. And I'll start editing part 2 so we can get that out a couple days from now. But
you're on like pretty much the one beach that exists in Delaware. And so come summertime, man, if you're used to North Carolina beaches, like Delaware Beach, you'd have room for your towel and your umbrella, right? Like, and then somebody else is setting up right next to you. Yeah. That's what I remember. North Carolina beaches, I've always enjoyed, like, because there was always room. Like nobody ever got near you.
I don't think I could handle everybody right on top of me, man.
Dude,
even
intense.
Before COVID, it's not my thing.
Yeah, that's exactly. I could care less about the COVID thing. It was just growing up. That's what it was. Like when you were trying to like run to the water or whatever, you're like dodging other people's setups.
Man, that sucks,
dude. Yeah, but honestly, that's like North Beaches. You know, the Jersey Shore had the same problems. You know, just a whole bunch of freaking people.
I was gonna say, man, not to offend any of our Yankee listeners, but Yankees right up on top of me. I've been in the South for way too long.
I moved down here for a reason. Right?
Hey, me too, man. I was born in the North. So
right. Yeah, exactly. It's just, it gets to a point where you're just kind of like, okay, the way things are done down here, it's not all that different, right? Yeah. But it's different. You can't necessarily place your finger on it all the time. There's definitely a different attitude.
Oh, there is, for sure.
Maybe slightly more respectful of like your personal space, especially if we're talking about beaches,
I don't think people in the South, even if people in the South are better than you, they don't try to rub it in your face.
Right.
And I just feel like the North is like, I'm better than you, and these are all the reasons why.
Yeah.
And it's like, was that really necessary? Like, what did you gain from that?
Right. And then, we're definitely gonna delete this from the.
No, I think you gotta let it ride, man.
Gotta let it ride. Just gotta let it go.
I think important. This is what the viewers want, and if we alienate our Yankee listeners, the 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah,
I mean that's fine, man. We'll pick up 6. We'll pick up 6 Southern listeners. So it's okay.
That's the spirit. Yeah. Because I mean, in all honesty, I mean this from like, many levels of my heart. Like, that's just the way. That is the difference, right? Like, it's just this. You're going to know that I think I'm better than you. Not necessarily that that person is, but they'll let you know. That's kind of the way it is.
No, I think that's exactly right. This is the way that I'd like to put it for all the listeners. If you go into a Walmart in New York, the Walmart greeter doesn't ask you how you're doing. Would you like a cart with that? Can I help you find anything? He sizes you up.
Yeah.
What type of house does he have? What type of vehicle are they driving? What's his wife look like? Scale of 1 to 10. And it's like, dude, I just want a cart. I'm gonna go get some groceries. I might get a 6-pack of beer, and then we'll walk out. You know what I'm saying? But it is a total competition. You go to a Walmart in the South, you know everything about that dude's family. I think you're going to lunch afterwards, and you don't even know it, but you've been invited to a fried chicken dinner. And I mean, it's just a different world, man. And if you haven't lived both worlds, you don't know what we're talking about, and I highly suggest you do.
Yeah. I mean,
it's worth it.
It's worth it. I mean, arguably, I don't think anybody's often moving from the South up to the North.
Oh, no way.
These days,
No way.
But
no, we have all the Yankees moving to the South. That's why our freaking housing is booming. Which, hey, come on, keep it coming, guys.
Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Yeah. I mean, that's what working for that home builder in Wilmington, right? Like I was building a retirement. I mean,
Oh yeah, that's right.
Not retirement community, but age restricted community,
Like 55 plus.
And up, you know?
Yeah, that's great.
And probably 60 to 70% were from the Northeast. You know, then you have another, I'll boldly go out on a limb and say 10 to 15 coming from out west further. You know, and then maybe the last 10 or 15% were kind of hovering from in the North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia region. But that's who we were building for. I mean, one couple I had just sold their condo that they lived in for, their entire married life in New York City, right? Like in the city. I think they said it was like 900 square feet, raised a kid. They sold the doggone thing for $900,000. And
wow.
Right. And then you come down here and they bought themselves a 2,500 square foot house for $275, $300. So I was like, well, you guys won on that deal. Holy cow, man. What's prompting the move to do whatever they want to do, and they can do it even more down here.
I think so. And I mean, I have my family still lives in upstate New York, Syracuse, for my mother.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. And my uncles, my Uncle Bob, and a little bit of comedic relief, my Uncle Tom, live in Rochester.
Yeah.
And I've been saying for 10 years, I'm like, the money is in the South. It might not be as much as you're making there, but you get to enjoy that life that you're chasing in retirement. You get to enjoy it forever.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how much money you make. It's all about your quality of life. And I think I'm glad I figured that stuff out before I was 40, maybe a little after 40. I don't know.
Yeah, but you figured it out. You figured it out in a period of time where you can actually begin enjoying the quality of life, right? Like, so that's part of the reason that I chose to stay down here, right? Like I could have gone up north. In fact, I did. I went to Ohio for a couple of years working manufacturing, right? And up there, the town that I was in, the cost of living was low. It was a small town, right? I mean, there wasn't a lot there, but it was still, you're talking about a mortgage payment, you're talking about all those other things that just made it more difficult. Came down here making essentially the same amount of money, and I could easily afford a house, and I got a rental property, and I did all this other kind of stuff. I was like, what? How is this possible? And I'm on the same pay, easier here than it ever was up there. And it just comes down to things are just more expensive, man, and a little more difficult. That's just it. But yeah, if you can get down here, get down here. We got houses we can sell you.
Yeah, I mean, there are houses. There's infrastructure. I just saw yesterday Microsoft is building a new data center. Maybe not a data center, but they're building another facility, I think in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh, right? Apple.
Oh, I'm sorry, Apple. Yeah.
Apple.
So
yeah, Apple's
massive.
Apple's moving to Raleigh. Yeah, they're investing, I think, $1 billion. They're bringing 3,000 jobs to the RTP. For those of our listeners that don't know RTP, it's the Research Triangle Park area, and so that's like kind of Raleigh, right outside of Raleigh, that kind of deal.
That's massive.
That's huge, and the average salary for those 3,000 workers is going to be $187,000.
Oh, I'm moving.
Dude, when's Apple going to get into the construction business? Right? Like, let me know.
They're probably not going to get in the construction business because they're so focused on process improvement and improving whatever they touch. And they're like, we know that there's nothing we can do to make that thing better, because they'll never get on board.
They're never gonna get on board this train.
You can't say lean construction because it's such a negative thing, even though if we all bought into it, we would all be building better homes for more profit.
Oh gosh, yeah, better homes for more profit, and that superintendent that's making 65 could be making 75 to 85.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
It's just
but we're not interested in that because we've been making money this way for so long that no thanks. Yeah, so they're not interested in getting in our business, sadly.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, it's times like these where I want to call Toyota and say, "Hey, you want to teach us a couple of things, or what?"
Yeah, absolutely.
It's freaking brutal, dude.
It blows my mind
Oh,
that more people are not buying into this stuff. Especially, I mean, this is what I thought, right? When COVID broke out, I'm like, I'm a scheduling junkie. I'm like, COVID broke out, trade partners are more limited, supplies are more limited. Everybody is going to have to be more efficient. And we're not talking about earth-shattering things. We're talking about doing the stuff you were always supposed to do.
right,
One trade per home per day. Every day an activity is happening in that home.
right,
We're still not doing that stuff. We're still
right.
not taking it seriously. And I think, and I say that right, but there are some people who really bought into that idea. Those men and women are going to excel when this thing
Oh,
turns around
hands down.
because trade partners are going to ask who's running the job.
Yeah,
And you say, it's Johnny Five, and they're like, that guy's got his shit together.
yeah,
I want to be on his job, and I'll give you a discounted rate.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's game changing, and it's not too late to get on board.
No, that's the thing, is that it really never is. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there is so much opportunity in our industry. A good bellwether that I use is technology. I don't, I'm not a huge fan of technology. I'm actually very strict on whether or not a company should adopt new technology or not. You've got to find, I'm going off on kind of a tangent, but like, if you're going to bring new tech to a company, you have to make sure that tech is going to fit your company before you try and do anything with it, right? There's no point in buying some new magical program for $100,000 just to find out that nobody wants to use it, right? It doesn't make sense. But anyways, off of that, so many startup tech companies and current tech companies are now trying to introduce more stuff, more platforms, more, process improvement techniques, that kind of deal, to the construction industry. They've realized, like, oh, this $1 trillion industry, it needs help. And there's a lot of money that we can start, low-hanging fruit, baby, just start bringing it in. Because we're suffocating. We want something to help us. We just don't know what. And typical construction, right? We want something that solves all of our problems in one go, right? Not the work. Like, I need a hole dug, I'm going to go get an excavator. One hole, one excavator. I need to hang sheetrock, I need my screw gun, screws, and sheetrock, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's always a solution, and typically a very good solution. But now when you're talking about process improvement, you're taking intangibles and you're saying, we've got to fix these. We don't want to do that. I want to fix the things I can see. I don't want to fix the things I can't.
Yeah, that's right.
And that is probably philosophical and psychological and all that kind of crap. But I think that's really what's driving part of this, is just this: if I can't see it, it doesn't need to be fixed. Well, just because you can't see it doesn't mean we're being successful.
Well, I think that's exactly right. I mean, why do I need to fix it? I started the project, now finish the project.
Right.
I won. What do you mean? I need improvement.
Right. That's exactly it.
Nobody cares about the schedule. How many days over? Cares? I say nobody, right? But the schedule is not important to most of the guys in the industry. The budget's not important. The trade partners that we burned out, the superintendents that we burned out, the customer that's pissed off at us. It doesn't matter. We still closed the job.
Right.
We won.
Yeah,
we won. And that's where our problem is at.
Oh, very much so, right? Because, I mean, we can go on for days about this stuff, honestly. But it's very true, man. It's.
But how do you take that thought, right? So tech is like, hey, there's this untapped potential here.
Right.
How do you take that? They recognize it. We are construction managers in this business. We recognize it. How do you get those individuals, and then your customers recognize that there's a shortfall? We need to do something to improve what we're doing, because the experience. Okay, when I go somewhere, I'm buying the experience. I'm not buying the food. I'm not buying the beer. I'm not buying the house. I'm buying the experience of whatever I'm getting.
Right.
How do you improve that? So you take the tech side, the CM side, us, and others like us, and you take the customers, and how do you take all that and squeeze it and get those those individuals in the middle that are just focused on, I started it and I closed it, I won, I'm going home safe. Game over. How do you invest in that middle to help them understand how we get to that next level and how we can be more efficient and smarter and make a little bit more money and do a little bit less work?
That's right. So you just hit on it at the very end. A little bit less work, right? Because in reality, we're all lazy. When I say lazy, I don't mean, oh, I just don't want to get out of bed today.
Yeah.
What I mean is that if we have the ability to offload some of the things that are on our shoulders, we'll do that. We're even more likely to offload something off of our shoulders, off ourselves, if we don't have to load it onto somebody else. So
I like that.
So how do you relay that message to your construction managers, superintendents, your APMs, your PMs, right? And you say, hey, this is going to make your life easier, and not just your life, but everybody else's. And when we say easier, we mean reducing your task load, making communication simpler or more simplified. Design gets easier. Communication inside, I know I just said communication, but it's so huge.
You can't say it enough.
Right, because it's such a massive part of what we actually do.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like communication inside your company and external to your company, right? So those things get easier. Last but not least is you have trade partners and customers that now want to come back to you. How do you make that something that's important to everybody? I don't know. There's some folks that won't change, and that's okay. Not everybody has to. I think that's part of the thing that we have to embrace.
Yep.
I was talking to a couple of guys from a pretty large commercial industrial contractor here in Greenville the other day, and it was essentially the director of operations for them. And he was saying, hey, we've got some guys that have bitten off on this lean thing 100%. They're all the way in, can't stop talking about it, love it, want to get into the process, like that kind of deal. So then we got other guys that are kind of like, shmeh, it is what it is. And at the end of the day, it was important to them to be able to, what are we mixing up? What are we mixing up?
What are we mixing?
Yeah, what are we mixing?
Just a glass of water, man. Just low key tonight, brother. Low key.
You just gotta take it easy. Fill it up in the hotel restroom sink and go from there. It's that good Rehoboth Beach water, man. It's good.
It is good today.
Yeah.
Folks, that's the end of episode 1. Hope you enjoyed this. We will be editing episode 2 of this little segment and hopefully putting that out in a couple of days. Till the next time.